The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to the floor and take seats. All members, please report to the floor of the House. The clerk will ring the bell. All members will report to the floor and please take your seats. We are about to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. I hope everyone has had a nice Super Bowl weekend, and now that's behind us and we can get to work here. Before I introduce the member who will introduce the chaplain of the day, some of you probably already know that Chairman Don Parsons lost his mother over the weekend, so keep the funeral is today in West Virginia. Please keep him in your thoughts and prayers, he and his family. We will begin our day this morning with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the lady from the 60th House District, Representative Kim Schofield. Representative Schofield.
Mr. Speaker and members of the House, good morning. I'm proud to introduce a pastor of the people, for the people in District 60, my friend and colleague, Reverend Eric Powell. Reverend Powell is the senior pastor of Dard Sterling United Methodist Church in Southeast Atlanta. Reverend Powell has served in a myriad of church leadership positions, from Sunday school teacher up to senior pastor. He's a graduate of Chicago State University and done his postgraduate work at Eden Theological Seminary. He's enrolled currently at the ITC, the Interdenominational Theology Center, pursuing a Master of Arts in Religious Education. He was certified local pastor in United Methodist Church in 2005. He's retired U.S. Army for over 30 years of total service. He retired in 2007 as Master Sergeant E8. Reverend Powell is employed as the Alcohol and Drug Control Officer for the 335th Theater Signal Command in East Point, Georgia. His philosophy of ministry is to assist and equip the believers of Christ for ministry through solid biblical preaching and teaching. He's married to Paula Powell, formerly of St. Louis, Missouri, and they have 4 adult children, 3 grandsons, and 1 granddaughter. His lovely daughter, Eva Powell, is here today with us. Reverend Powell strives on a daily basis to live out his personal life statement: good is not enough when better is possible. Personally, my 2 words that describe Reverend Powell are deliver and service. He delivers the word of God every Sunday, and he models Christian service in our community. I present to you now Reverend Eric Powell.
Thank you, Speaker of the House, Representative Schofield, members of the House of Representatives, thank you for this wonderful honor and privilege. I have the task of sharing some remarks and doing a prayer. So it is my intent to follow the three basic principles of public speaking. I will be brief, I will be brilliant, and I will be gone. I want to share with you remarks on the blessings of liberty and freedom. As a 30-year retiree of the U.S. Army, serving in the Army Chaplains Corps, I have some knowledge and experience with both liberty and freedom. There's a difference between liberty and freedom. Speaking generally, freedom means to be free from something, whereas liberty usually means to be free to do something. And although both of these refer to the quality or the state of being free, I can remember the countless times I felt proud to not only be an American citizen, but to be a part of the United States military. As of January 31st, there is nearly 1.4 million people serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. And according to the latest numbers from the Defense Manpower Data Center, which is a body of the Department of Defense, that means that 0.4% of the American population is currently serving in the military. With the blessing of liberty and freedom comes the responsibility and the obligation to do what is right, to do what is moral, and to do what is ethical, as well as to do what is in the best interest of the whole. We are blessed to live in a country where not only is that a privilege, but we have elevated it to a right. I personally thank God each and every day for waking up in a country where we get to say, "and the home of the brave." Or as we would say when I was in uniform, "and the home because of the brave." I hope and pray that we never lose the fascination, the obsession, and our love for both our liberty and freedom. It is bodies such as this august state House of Representatives that not only have the blessing but also the responsibility of ensuring that every citizen of the state of Georgia has the opportunity of experiencing the blessings and the privilege of liberty and freedom. May God continue to lead and guide you as you persevere with tenacity the liberty and the freedom that we are blessed to enjoy. And at this time, I'd ask you if you would join me in prayer. Lord, may this session of business give you praise from its beginning and to your glory in the end. Be with these blessed members, Lord, as they come together to accomplish the work of your people with hearts attuned to the movement of your Spirit. May their voices in unison be heard around this great state of Georgia. No ear has ever heard, nor eye has ever seen, nor has it entered into the minds the great deeds that you can accomplish for those who wait upon your leading and guiding. Bless these fine and dedicated men and women of the state of Georgia, House of Representatives, who seek to protect our sacred values. May you grant them the vision to look ahead to our future without forgetting the lessons of our past. In your name we pray, amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, you followed those rules pretty well. And it's my 30 years of military training. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Darlene Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits have read the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found them to be correct.
Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, 159 moves following be established as the order of business under the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Report of standing committees. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 2 by Representative Gertler of the 8th, Moore of the 1st, Cook of the 18th, Donahue the 30th, Caldwell the 20th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding parks, historical areas, memorials, and recreation.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 12 by Representative Williams, the 145th, Wiedauer of 119th, Walensky of the 79th, Holcomb of the 81st, Hitchens the 161st, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 15 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to miscellaneous provisions under the Quality Basic Education. House Bill 13 by Representative Williams, the 145th, Mathiak the 73rd, McCall the 33rd, Blackman the 146th, and Jones the 167th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 95 by Representative Parrish, the 158th. Bill being titled an act to amend an act to make provisions for the Magistrate Court of Jenkins County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 96 by Representative Parrish, 158th. Bill being titled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Candler County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 97 by Representative Parrish, the 158th. Bill being titled an act to amend an act incorporating the city of Swainsboro.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 98 by Representative Cannon, the 58th, Clanton, the 75th, Beverly, the 143rd, Dreyer, the 59th, Frazier, the 126th. The bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 13 of Title 40, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating uniform traffic citations.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 99 by Representative Smith, the 134th. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 100 by Representative Parsons, the 44th. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to public utilities and public transportation.
Economic Development and Tourism.
House Bill 101 by Representative Ridley, the 6th, Houston, the 170th, Berkeley, the 155th, Corbett of the 174th, Watson, the 172nd. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated Section 48-5-50440 relating to the motor vehicles and watercraft and all-terrain vehicles.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 102 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Dreyer of the 59th. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 48, Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to property tax exemptions.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 103 by Representative Turner of the 21st, Welch of the 110th, Kelly of the 16th, Holcomb of the 81st, Anulowitz of the 42nd, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions for crimes and offenses.
Judiciary.
House Bill 104 by Representative Watson, the 172nd, Powell, the 171st, McCall, the 33rd, Meeks, the 178th, Perkle, the 155th. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to property tax exemptions.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 105 by Representative Watson, the 172nd, Powell, the 171st, Meeks, the 178th, McCall, the 33rd, and Perkle, the 155th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the imposition rate, computation, exemptions from state income taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 106 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Stovall of the 74th, Nelson the 125th, Jones of the 53rd, Mitchell of the 88th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding driver's licenses.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 107 by Representative Turner, the 21st. Bill being entitled an act to amend Code Section 9-16-17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the burden of proof and presumptions.
Judiciary.
House Bill 108 by Representative Bernal, the 77th. Glanton, the 75th. Stovall, the 74th. Douglas, 78th. And Bazemore, the 63rd. Bill being entitled an act to amend the act creating the State Court of Clayton County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 109 by Representative Benton of the 31st, Powell of the 32nd, England of the 116th, and Gamble of the 15th. The bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 47, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to teachers' retirement.
Retirement.
House Bill 110 by Representative Kirby of the 114th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Caldwell of the 20th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Code Section 34-7-2. Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to payment of employees' wages by lawful money.
Industry and labor.
House Bill 111 by Representative Turner of the 21st, Williams of the 168th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Bonner of the 72nd, and Nulowitz of the 42nd. Bill being entitled an act to amend Code Section 9-16-19 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to disposition of forfeited property.
Judiciary.
House Bill 112 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Cooper of the 43rd, Silcox of the 52nd, Newton of the 123rd, Hatchett of the 150th. Bill be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 13 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to schedules, offenses, and penalties.
Juvenile justice.
House Bill 113 by Representative Carson of the 46th, Lumsden of the 12th, Hitchens of the 161st, Belton of the 112th, and Smith of the 134th. Bill be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the issuance, expiration, and renewal of driver's licenses.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 114 by Representative Clark of the 147th, Williams of the 148th, Beverly of the 143rd, Paris of the 142nd, Blackman of the 146th, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-8-3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from state sales and use taxes.
Ways and means.
House Bill 115 by Representative Turner, the 21st, Tarvin of the 2nd. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 16 of Title 9 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Uniform Civil Forfeiture Procedure Act.
Judiciary.
House Bill 116 by Representative McLean of the 100th, Beasley Teague of the 65th, Thomas of the 56th, Jones of the 53rd, Shannon of the 84th, and others. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to minimum wage.
Industry and labor.
House Bill 117 by Representative Bruce of the 61st, McLean of the 100th, Kennard of the 102nd, Couch of the 50th, Holland of the 54th, and others. The bill be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding preparation for and the conduct of primaries and elections.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 118 by Representative Morris of the 26th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Hitchens the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, Gravely the 67th, and others. A bill being entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 10 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the obstruction of public administration.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 119 by Representative Cannon, the 58th, Renner of the 85th, Turner of the 21st, Smyrie the 135th, Jones 167th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to mineral resources and caves.
Natural resources and environment.
House Resolution 96 by Representative Green of the 151st, Houston the 170th, Parrish of the 158th, Smith the 133rd, Holmes of the 129th, and others. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Robert Bob Paul Hanner, Sr., and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 79 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd and Bruce of the 61st. A bill relating to rights of persons with disabilities. House Bill 80 by Representative Werkheiser of the 157th, Fleming of the 121st, Moores of the 156th, and Welch of the 110th. A bill relating to general provisions for public assistance. House Bill 81 by Representative Jones of the 25th. A bill relating to restrictive covenants in contracts. House Bill 82 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Setzler of the 35th. Welch of the 110th, Clark of the 98th, Clark of the 147th, and others. A bill relating to Veteran Court Divisions. House Bill 83 by Representative Douglas of the 78th, Trammell of the 132nd, Chesler of the 35th, Fry of the 118th, Walensky of the 79th, and others. A bill relating to miscellaneous provisions under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 84 by Representative Smith of the 134th, Taylor of the 173rd, Blackman of the 146th, Hatchett of the 150th, Efstration of the 104th, and others. A bill relating to insurance. House Bill 85 by Representative Houston of the 170th, Newton of the 123rd, Corbett of the 174th, Rhodes of the 120th, and Collins of the 68th. A bill relating to exemptions from sales and use tax. House Bill 86 by Representative Benton of the 31st, Stovall of the 74th, Green of the 151st, and Gamble of the 15th. A bill relating to complaints policy for teachers and other school personnel. House Bill 87 by Representative Clark of the 98th, Glanton of the 75th, Barr of the 103rd, Cantrell of the 22nd, Carpenter of the 4th, and others. A bill relating to other educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 88 by Representative Thomas of the 56th, Bodie of the 62nd, Kendrick of the 93rd, Scott of the 76th, Dickerson of the 113th. A bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 89 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Powell of the 171st, England of the 116th, Burns of the 159th, Fry of the 118th. A bill relating to state health planning and development. House Bill 90 by Representative Bruce of the 61st, Trammell of the 132nd, Bodie of the 62nd, Dukes of the 154th, Shannon of the 84th, and others. A bill relating to the Department of Administrative Services. House Bill 91 by Representative Welch of the 110th, Ballinger of the 23rd, Oliver of the 82nd, and Petrie of the 166th. A bill relating to regulation and construction of hospitals and other health care facilities. House Bill 92 by Representative Rutledge of the 109th, Lemming of the 121st, Efstration of the 104th, Gravely of the 67th, and Belton of the 112th. A bill relating to the Georgia Municipal Courts Training Council. House Bill 93 by Representative Jones of the 167th, Williams of the 145th, Hogan of the 179th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Stevens of the 164th, and others. A bill relating to control of water pollution and surface water use. House Bill 94 by Representative Jones of the 167th, Williams of the 145th, Hogan of the 179th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Stevens of the 164th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions relative to solid waste management. House Resolution Number 72 by Representative Kendrick of the 93rd, Stevens of the 164th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Caldwell of the 20th, Carter of the 92nd. Resolution encouraging Georgia to host the world's largest startup pitch competition. House Resolution 73 by Representative Ralston of the 7th. Resolution recognizing G.L. Huff family and dedicating a road in its honor. House Resolution 74 by Representative Ralston of the 7th. Resolution honoring the life of Reverend John D. McDaniel and dedicating a bridge in his memory. House Resolution 75 by Representative Ralston of the 7th. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Benjamin Benny Norton Whitaker and dedicating an intersection in his memory. House Resolution 76 by Representative Jones of the 167th, Williams of the 168th, and Welch of the 110th. A resolution honoring the life of Chief Frank McClellan Jr. and dedicating a road in his memory. House Resolution 77 by Representative Benton of the 31st and Gaines of the 117th. A resolution honoring the life of Deputy Edward Monroe Evans and dedicating a road in his memory. 3 second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Ed Reinders, 152nd District, Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Governmental Affairs has under consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 29, due pass, respectfully submitted. Ed Reinders of the 152nd District, Chairman. Representative Gerald Green of the 151st District, Chairman of the Committee on State Property, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on State Properties has had under consideration the following bills of the House, and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 1, due pass, respectfully submitted. Representative Green of the 151st District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
We're about to go on to morning orders. We are about to go to morning orders. Chair's going to ask all members of the House that are in the chamber to be seated and to suspend conversation and give respect and attention to the members in the well. Now, before I begin the morning orders, the rules of this House clearly provide that members are to sign up for morning orders at least 1 hour prior to the convening. By last count, I think we had 8 members that are not familiar with that rule. Now, here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to ignore the rule today. But beginning tomorrow, if you sign up less than an hour, you're not signing up for tomorrow, you're signing up for the next day. So that's kind of where we are. Chair recognizes Representative Hughley for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Today you will see some good neighbors running around in the hall because it's State Farm Day at the Capitol, and I want you all to greet them warmly when you see them. We also have a group of students here from Reese Road Elementary School in Columbus, Georgia, and they are with the Reese Road Leadership Academy. And we're so very proud of them, and we hope that you will greet them warmly as well. And finally, since this country began more than 240 years ago, people of color have fought for justice and for equal rights. And although that struggle isn't over, we can be inspired by the men and women whose courage and sacrifice have made this country a better place. Many of these celebrated Americans have shared what they've learned from their struggles, and we can take their words as inspirations not only for us but for all generations. Black History Month has already started, and it gives us a chance to spotlight on the contributions of African Americans. But what I want to do this morning is to let us listen to the words of many that have come before us. Rosa Parks said to us, "I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear, knowing that what must be done does away with fear." George Washington Carver said to us, "When you can do common things of life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world." Sojourner Truth said to us, "Truth is powerful and it prevails." Maya Angelou said to us, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." And Oprah Winfrey says, "I am where I am because of the bridges that I've crossed." Sojourner Truth was a bridge. Harriet Tubman was a bridge. Ida B. Wells was a bridge. Madam C.J. Walker was a bridge. Fannie Lou Hamer was a bridge. And finally, I want to say to you that Martin Luther King Jr. said to us that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Our constituents have sent us here to raise our voices about the things that matter to all of us as Georgians. And I encourage us to honor that legacy by raising our voice on the important things for our state and for the people that we represent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Bennett for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to my esteemed colleagues. As Representative Hughley has already mentioned, this is Black History Month, and I'd like to take another moment. I'd like to give you 3 quotes of a very important American who happens to be a black woman. "If American women would increase their voting turnout by 10%, I think we would see an end to all of the budget cuts and programs benefiting women and children. I don't think that my husband, although he was going back and forth south to fight the change in the system, I think he was thinking about not just Alabama or in Georgia, But he was thinking about making our society more inclusive, changing the system so that everyone could participate. And although he talked about that all the time, we never dreamed that we would have an opportunity, that we would be projected into the forefront of the struggle as we were. We were just going to work, as he said, a Black Baptist church pulpit pastor. This was the freest place in the society at that time, but we had no idea what God had in store for us. And finally, on juggling motherhood and fighting for freedom, people asked me how was I able to do this and raise 4 children at the same time. I can only reply that when God calls you to a great task, he provides you with the strength to accomplish what he has called you to do. Faith, prayer, family, and friends were always available when I needed them. And of course, Martin and I were there for each other. Who am I? Who am I? None other than the great Coretta Scott King. She was an activist, a civil rights leader, and the wife of the great Dr. Martin Luther King. So I'd like to take this moment this morning to commemorate Mrs. Coretta Scott King. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues, and I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Wynn for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Today is Lunar New Year, which in Vietnamese culture is known as Tet. This means if you want to start your 2019 over and leave the things behind we don't like so much, like the Patriots and Pepsi, today is the start of a new year. This is also the year of the pig, which means if you were born in 1935, 1947, 1971, 1983, or 1995, this is your year. In Vietnamese culture, instead of black-eyed peas and collards, we eat mangoes to symbolize wealth and papaya to symbolize abundance. But my favorite tradition of all traditions is called Lisi, which is the tradition of elders giving to us younger folks a red envelope with money inside to symbolize prosperity. But fortunately for many of you members in this chamber, that's an ethics violation, so I won't be asking you to present me with a red envelope today. Instead, I wish you a Happy New Year, or we say in Vietnamese culture, Chúc mừng năm mới. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Kendrick for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. You have a flyer on your desk for an annual event that I have every session. It's my Georgia Blacks in Tech Day of Action. So please come down to room 230 of the Capitol, and we'll have guest speakers, and we'll have a panel afterwards that I'll speak to you a little bit more about tomorrow. But please come down, and we will have about 120 or so people who are coming down to advocate for technology in K through 12 and the corporate space. So please come by and say hello, and all the details are on your flyer on your desk. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Carter for a morning order. Chair recognizes Representative Buckner for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If there are any Girl Scouts that are state reps, if you'd like to join me in welcoming the Girl Scouts in the gallery, you're most welcome. This is Girl Scout Day at the Capitol, and Girl Scouts has always been incredibly special to me because it was founded right here in Savannah, Georgia by, talking about hometowns, aren't we? And what I think, if you were a Brownie, a cadet, a junior, look at this. All right. So we are very excited that you are here as Girl Scouts all across the state of Georgia. And what we want to show you is that while we're a rowdy group, we are also proud of the things that you are learning as Girl Scouts, and we hope that we represent you well as former Girl Scouts.
Hi everyone, I am a Girl Scout leader. I have been a leader for 6 years. I lead Troop 14568. We are in the Sandy Springs Service Unit in the Girl Scouts of Greater Atlanta. And I am so happy to see so many fantastic girls here. I see the green vests for the juniors. We've got tan for cadets, ambassadors, and seniors. We've got, I think I saw a few brownies running around. There's probably even a Juliet or two. And I'm so happy to welcome you here today. I'm wearing my leader pins right here. I was actually at Camp Timberidge this weekend camping. It's wonderful to see y'all because I know that you are learning about leadership. You are learning about the outdoors. You are learning about friendship and relationships. You are learning how to really grow into the women who we need to be up here running this state and running this country. Thank you for being here. Please stand so we can recognize you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Kennard for a morning order.
Thank you, Speaker Ralston and members of the House. This is my first morning order, and I am honored to be here. I want to take a few moments to highlight Black History Month and my appreciation for it. It gives us the opportunity to hear other stories of the American narrative that are effectively downplayed or are left out altogether in our public American history classrooms. I look forward to the day when our U.S. and Georgia history books are widened beyond the Eurocentric lens and communicate an honest and complete historical account of our country and state. On a personal note, Black History Month gives me pause to reflect on my own family's journey in this country. Like most everyone, my family tree is rather checkered, sometimes good, too often bad, and in many cases shamefully ugly. My ancestors in many occasions were on the wrong side of history and subsequently the wrong side of humanity. My personal research reveals that the first Kennards or Kinnairds came in the late 1600s by way of Scotland. They were colonizers, which means they participated in the decimation of this continent's indigenous people. Colonization systematically wiped tens of millions in their way of life off the map, literally off the map. My ancestors were also slave owners. They were guilty of the atrocities of the transatlantic slave trade, where Africans were captured and oppressed into forced servitude for centuries on this very soil. My forefathers were also fought on the wrong side of the Civil War. They wore Confederate gray. Some of my maternal ancestors fought on Kennesaw Mountain, 23 miles from here. My ancestors fought for the continuance of the enslavement of African-descended people. Previous generations of Kennards also supported Jim Crow. They cast their votes for elected officials in Georgia who were staunch segregationists. My family was silent and absent during the civil rights movement, giving tacit approval for racial inequality and injustice. That's the bad, that's the ugly, but I do have good news. I'm happy to report that there are a new generation of Kennards alive today who will not allow the sins of our forefathers to be visited upon our children and children's children. We will transform our legacy. On behalf of the entire Kennard family in this Georgia State House, the People's House, I want to stand in proxy and repent of my family's past and declare that we will work tirelessly to heal our family tree and to work to heal our larger society that today still carries the residue of our country and state's painful and shameful past. I want to acknowledge my African American sisters and brothers today who are elected representatives in this assembly. Please know how much I respect you, how much we all respect you. And I want to close by quoting the prophet Isaiah, who optimistically imagined a better world with these prophetic words. Every valley shall be exalted, every mountain and hill shall be made low, the crooked places straight, the rough places plain, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and we will all see it together. May that be true in our country. May it be true in this great state of Georgia. Thank you. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Burnow for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning I rise to welcome the students from E.J. Swint Elementary School. And if you're in the gallery, would you all please stand up? Thank you. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes Representative Cannon for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to bring attention to the status of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth home and park grounds right here in District 58. As we all know, these very important grounds were facing closure due to the federal government shutdown. But by the corporate responsibility of Delta Airlines, with a generous donation, we were able to keep the grounds open through the Super Bowl. Now that the government has been reopened, we welcome you to come to District 58 to learn more about these historic grounds and celebrate Black History Month at Dr. King's birth home. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Representative McLean for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I just rise this morning to let you all know that on behalf of the NFLPA, the National League Players Association, that Atlanta and the Super Bowl, the state of Atlanta, as they announced, I didn't know we was a state in Atlanta, the state of Atlanta got a grade of an A. And I think it's one of those things that you say that we all work well together. When I say that the volunteers work well, when I mean that the security work well together, transportation work well together, and for someone that was downtown for 6 days in the Omni Hotel in the middle of it, I'll tell you what, I was impressed to see everyone working together. As one of my friends says, working together works, and I hope that we can do the same thing in this house. So on behalf of the NFL, the Player Association, thank all of you all, Atlanta, and I know that we'll have another Super Bowl in a few more years. Mr. Speaker, I yield well.
Chair recognizes Representative Rick Williams for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize a young lady from our hometown, Miss Emily Walker. She placed first place in the junior contest division of the 4-H horse show. Emily, if you'd stand up and be recognized. Anyway, let's give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the Minority Caucus Whip, Representative Bodie, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be brief. I just want to recognize that today we have magistrate court judges and municipal court judges from all over the state of Georgia. If you're in the galleries, please stand. We appreciate you all being here and for your service. I yield the well, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representatives Blackman and Clark for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are excited today to have a youth leadership group from the city of Perry, Georgia with us. I'd ask them to stand up briefly and invite you to help me welcome them to the People's House.
Chair recognizes Representatives Newton, Nelson, and Howard for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. glad and proud and honored to be part of a body that strives for excellence on behalf of all of Georgia. We heard from Chairman Cantrell last week about excellence in the soft drink industry, and was very proud of that. We heard from Representative McLean about Atlanta achieving excellence and doing the Super Bowl. I'm proud to be part of an area in the greater Augusta area where we strive for excellence in all we do. One of those is medical care. We've put medical professionals in 156 out of 159 counties in Georgia, taking care of fellow Georgians with excellence. It's not just that, though. We also strive in manufacturing, energy technology from our 3-county area. We're growing in cybersecurity, which all of us are seeing closer and closer as a crucial part with Cyber Command and Fort Gordon expanding. We also have a little golf tournament that strives for excellence in early April every year. And Mr. Speaker, I know with the excellence this House runs, we're eager to be available for that in the early part of April. So we're glad to have it. I would like if you could help me welcome Youth Leadership Columbia County, Leadership Augusta, and we have our 3 chambers of commerce visiting Burke County, Augusta, Richmond County, and Columbia County. We're just honored to have them with us today. If you guys would all stand up and let me welcome you, and we say, hey, all right, one last thing. You do have a mug as a gift from our Chambers of Commerce saying thank you for what all you do. I hope you enjoy that as a memory of Augusta, and look forward to seeing you guys. And we're working on the tickets.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ron Stevens for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, if you will, today, if you'll notice a whole lot of white coats around, it's Pharmacy Day at the Capitol. Some of them are standing up in the top up here, both the University of Georgia and Pecan. Lots and lots of white coats. It's also Tourism Day. It's the 2nd largest industry in the state of Georgia, minus agriculture, if you will. So if you see these folks from your CVBs locally, stop by and say hello. There's too many, of course, to get in the gallery, but say hello to your tourists with your CVBs.
Chair wants to recognize on the floor of the House former State Representative Stacy Reese. Is he still back there? Good to have him with us. Chair also wants to recognize on the floor of the House the former member from Milledgeville. He left and took the independent caucus with him. Former Representative Rusty Kidd. House will be in order. House will be in order. Chair is honored to introduce to you a former member of this body, now a member of the United States House of Representatives, Congressman Buddy Carter from the 1st Congressional District.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's always an honor to be back in this area, and particularly in this room, what I consider to be one of the most beautiful rooms in the state of Georgia. What an honor and a privilege it is for me to be with you, and what an honor and privilege it was for me to serve in this body. I bring you greetings from the United States House of Representatives, where we're headed back in just a few minutes. We will have a State of the Union address tonight. In that State of the Union, the President will mention something that I've been working diligently on, and that is the lower health care costs, particularly as it relates to prescription drug costs, something that impacts all of us. It does not discriminate against any one particular party or against any group. It's something that our country has to face, something that we are working, as I say, diligently on. As a member of the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Health Subcommittee, we work on that, as well as the opioid epidemic, something that has hindered our country for many years now, and that we are making progress on. So thank you for your support. Thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm glad to report that progress is being made on a project that you have invested in, and that's the Savannah Harbor Expansion Project. We have finished the Outer Channel, thanks primarily to the funds that have come from the state of Georgia. We continue to get funding from the federal government and hope to complete that project soon so that we can reap the economic benefits of that strong economic development project in Southeast Georgia. Thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia. God bless you, and God bless America.
House will continue to be in order. House will continue to be in order. I don't know what they're doing or not doing in Washington today, but we're about to have a quorum of the U.S. House, looks like. Chair's honored now to introduce to you a great Georgian, a member of the United States Congress from the 12th Congressional District of Georgia, Congressman Rick Allen.
Well, thank you so much, Speaker. It is great to be with you today. Yes, we just passing through. I've got a 1:45 flight, but we've got, as Congressman Carter mentioned, the State of the Union tonight. And of course, that's kind of the business of the day in Washington today. I want to say that we had great meetings with the Lieutenant Governor and Governor this morning talking about the President's favorite subject. And that's what he thinks about every morning when he gets out of bed, and it's what I think about when I get out of bed, and that's GDP, economic growth. Georgia is setting the pace. Congratulations to the leader. We have great leadership in this state. Obviously, best state to do business with 5 years in a row. We're going to get that 6th year, Speaker. We're going to get the 6th year. And we're seeing really an explosion in the gig economy. Talked to Lieutenant Governor about that. We've got 7 million jobs open in this country right now, and I have been honored to be named the ranking member on the House Education and Labor Committee for the K through 12 subcommittee. And boy, have we got challenges. We have got to produce the workforce of the future. We have a lot of good things going our way in Georgia on that, and we will continue to ramp up because the challenges of our educators right now is probably bigger than we've ever seen. I'm also on the Ag Committee, met with our Ag Commissioner this morning, and Mr. Speaker, we have got to get this funding fixed in Washington. We have got to get disaster relief to our farmers and those in South Georgia that were damaged by that storm, and we're working diligently to get that done. You know, my colleagues in the United States Congress are very envious of the state of Georgia. Keep it up, because you're making me look mighty good. Thank you so much.
Chair recognizes Representative Betsy Holland to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Amar Devan, who's an anesthesiologist and interventional pain management physician with the Southeast Permanente Medical Group. Dr. Devan has expertise in treating debilitating pain, conditions such as sciatica, spinal stenosis, and cancer pain. He has been treating patients at Kaiser Permanente's Gwinnett and Glen Lake Specialty Centers since 2012. Outside of his clinical responsibilities, Dr. Devan is involved in healthcare performance improvement as a physician collaborator. He also has served on the Medical Association of Georgia House Delegates. After graduating from Emory, he received his medical degree from Georgetown University. He completed his residency in anesthesiology at New York Medical College and his pain management fellowship at Northwestern University in Chicago. He is board certified in anesthesiology and pain management. He, his wife, and his 3 daughters live in North Buckhead in the fabulous House District 54. Please join me in welcoming him today in the Georgia House. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Representative Holland, for the introduction. On behalf of the Medical Association of Georgia and also on behalf of Permanente Medicine, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as Doc of the Day today. You know, there's an old saying in healthcare among doctors, and that saying is that you should treat every patient as you would treat your own family member, well, the ones you love anyway. And I would extend that to you all in the chamber as well. I would ask that you please treat every Georgian as you would treat your own family when it comes to decisions regarding health care and access to high quality, affordable health care in our state. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 107.
House Resolution 107 by Representative Kennard of the 102nd, Abstration of the 104th, Marin of the 96th, McLean of the 100th, Barr of the 103rd, and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Stanley C. Stosh Przewski upon the grand occasion of his retirement and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Kennard for an invite resolution. House will be in order.
Thank you, Speaker and members of the House. It's my honor today to recognize Colonel Stanley C. Stosh Przewski, who is the recently retired president of Georgia Gwinnett College, which happens to reside in my District 102. Dr. Przewski was appointed president in 2014 following 8 years of service as the college's inaugural vice president. Prior to joining the administration at GGC, Przewski served on the faculty of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Under Przewski's leadership, GGC has achieved the following. Enrollment has grown to 13,000. U.S. News and World Report ranked them number 10, top public schools in the regional colleges South. They were also ranked top 10 for 3 consecutive years as the most ethnically diverse Southern regional college. Another interesting note is an efficiency study was performed on all 26 schools in our university system, and there was one school that stood head and shoulders above the rest in terms of staff and administration efficiency and spatialization efficiency. Number 1 out of 26 of our schools. Do you want to guess who it was? Speaker Ralston, it was not UGA. It was not Georgia Tech, nor was it Georgia State. It was Georgia Gwinnett College. Would you help me recognize President Przewski and his wife, Jean, of 37 years?
Representative Kennard, thank you for this unexpected honor. This is the highest honor I've ever received, except for my wife Jean's agreeing to marry me 38 years ago. I praise God for providing me the skills to lead and to always have a supported and dedicated family. In fact, among myself, my children, and their spouses, we have over 80 years of active duty service in our Army and 8 combat tours. I'm thankful to the visionaries of Gwinnett County who pushed for GGC's birth, especially Wayne Hill, Glenn White, John D. Stevens, Charlotte Nash, and my friend Tommy Hughes, and of course Senator Don Balfour, who led the GGC charge in the Senate. I thank for the wisdom of this phenomenal General Assembly who had the foresight to fund a college that has now enhanced the lives of over 50,000 students. I'm in debt to General Kaufman for selecting me as his first provost, and Hank Huckabee for trusting me to assume the presidency after Dan. My gratitude to Bill Gordon, Alan and Ellen Cox, and special thanks to Provost Lois Richardson, Assistant Lou Ann Causland, CFO Laura Maxwell, and Laura Buckheister, who ensured that I avoided all the obstacles of failure. Thanks too to a splendid faculty and staff, the city of Lawrenceville under Mayor Johnson. Because of this esteemed legislative body, thousands of diverse first-generation college students have now earned their degrees. GGC's innovative, efficient, and affordable programs are now nationally recognized as the future for higher education in America. Jean and I thank you for this honor and the privilege to serve this state. I look forward to continuing to serve students as the incoming president of Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good to see you again, sir.
Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions. The clerk will read.
Honoring life, memory, and selfless service of Chief Francis Arlington McClellan, Jr. Commending the 4-H clubs of Georgia and John Henry Walker, Arch D. Smith, and the 2018-2019 4-H leadership team, and recognizing February 7, 2019, the 4-H Day at the state capitol. Commending the leaders of Greater Augusta, the Leadership Augusta class of 2019 alumna of the Leadership Program, and those working diligently to move the Greater Augusta community forward, and recognizing February 5th, 2019 as Greater Augusta Day and Leadership Augusta Day at the state capitol. Recognizing and commending Stanley C. Stosh Brzezinski upon the grand occasion of his retirement. Recognizing and commending Leonard B. Gandy on the outstanding public service, recommending February as America Heart Month and at the state capitol. Recognizing and commending the Republic of Pakistan and Prime Minister Imran Khan. Recognizing the week of February 4 through 8, 2018 as National School Counseling Week at the state capitol. Recognizing and commending John Berry. Recognizing Lunar New Year's celebration, honoring the life and memory of Fred Korematsu. Recognizing and commending the Georgia High School Fencing League and its member teams. Congratulating and commending the state YMCA of Georgia's Youth Assembly on its 75th anniversary. Recognizing and commending the University of Georgia chapter of Blue Key National Honor Society on the occasion of Georgia Blue Key Day 2019 at the state capitol. Commending and recognizing Carter Barrett, honoring the life and memory of Russell Berry Archer. Recognizing and commending the YMCAs of Georgia for the important work they do. Honoring the life and memory of Dr. Edwin Ed Burnett. Honoring the life and memory of Bob Fowler Sr. Commending and congratulating George Thomas Blandford V. Commending the Georgia Installment Lenders Association. Commending Angela Arnold for being named the Athletic Director of the Year for Region 6A in Georgia. Recognizing and commending Captain Arlen Thomas upon the grand occasion of his retirement. Recognizing and commending Sheriff Mike Yeager on the grand occasion of his retirement. Commending the Coosa High School girls volleyball team for winning the 2018 GHSA 2A/A State Volleyball Championship. Congratulating and commending the Shield Club on the occasion of its 50th anniversary, recognizing the 45th anniversary of the Consulate General of Japan in the Southeast, recognizing February 5th, 2019 as Tourism, Hospitality, and Arts Day at the state capitol, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. All right, we're going on to announcements, and I think you're going to want to hear some of these today. So the chair is going to ask everyone that's in the chamber to take a seat, give attention to the announcements. The first one is that tomorrow we will have our panoramic photograph. Always a fun-filled morning. But we will do that as one of the first items of business, so everybody wear your best and get just look real sharp tomorrow. But we'll do the panoramic photograph tomorrow morning. Chair recognizes for an announcement the chairman of the House Rules Committee, Chairman Jay Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you go look at the outside of room 341 in the House, you'll see a sign out there that says Appropriations Meeting Room. We all know who meets there, and we all know whose room that is. And tomorrow morning at 9:30, we will reclaim our room from the Appropriations Office. So we'll have a Rules meeting, first one at 9:30 tomorrow morning. So if you're on the Rules Committee, please join us.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Majority Caucus, Chairman Hatchett, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Majority Caucus will meet today at noon in room 403. Room 403 at noon. We have a special guest that will arrive at 12:20, so try to be there and be on time. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chair of the House Appropriations Committee, Chairman England, for an announcement.
Good morning, everyone. A memo will be going out shortly that Rules will be finding a new home to meet in because the locks will be changed on 341 here in a little bit. Starting tomorrow morning at 7:30, bright and early, 7:30 tomorrow morning, the subcommittees will start meeting to vote out their sections of the amended FY19 budget. So if you serve on one of the subcommittees, you've gotten a meeting notice that went out yesterday. So please be there to vote on those. And then at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, the full committee will be meeting. We will take up our committee rules, and then we will take up the amended 19 budget after that. Thank you.
These meetings are open to the entire body, is that correct? And if people have questions about the budget, they can get them answered in these meetings, whether they're a member of the Appropriations Committee or not. So that is the time to get your questions answered, not a couple of minutes before he gets in the well to present the budget. So keep that in mind and take advantage of that opportunity. Chair recognizes Chairman Ballinger for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Juvenile Justice Committee is going to be meeting for an organizational meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock. All committee members should have gotten a notice, but I did want to draw everybody's attention. Everybody is invited. It is a joint meeting between Juvenile Justice, Health, and Education. We're going to be presenting the Whole Child Primer. It was something that I kind of dreamt up that Voices for Georgia's Children was able to put together for us, and it really links all of our policy and how we can make children better in the state of Georgia. So that will be a very important meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Chairman Corbett for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Motor Vehicles Committee will be meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock in room 415. See you there. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Dickerson for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Women's Legislative Caucus will be meeting upon adjournment, and lunch will be served. So we would love to see you in room 514 CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chair of the Game, Fish, and Parks Committee, Chairman Rhodes, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Game, Fish, and Parks will meet at 2 o'clock in 403. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chair of the Defense and Veterans Affairs Committee, Chairman Heath Clark, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Defense and Veterans Affairs Committee will have a meeting at 2 o'clock in CLOB 415.
Chair recognizes Representative Dubnik for an announcement. Chair recognizes the chair of the Regulated Industries Committee, Chairman Alan Powell, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the members of your House Regulated Industries, we'll be meeting at 2 o'clock over at LOB 506, and please make every attempt to be there if possible.
Chair recognizes the chair of the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee, Chairman Tankersley, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I sent out a notice several weeks ago reminding everyone that has a delegation to turn in your delegation rules. The deadline was yesterday because that was set prior to having an adjournment calendar, but so I extended it until the end of business today. So all delegation rules must be turned in at the close of business. If they're not turned in, then your delegation will need 100% of signatures to pass any local piece of legislation. So I'll look forward to seeing your delegation rules. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Gilligan for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hoping to be joined. Thank you so much. So tomorrow morning, come up here, Jenny. Tomorrow morning at 7:15, many of us will be gathering in the governor's conference room, which is room 107, and we will have a time of fellowship, a time where we can put politics at the outside door and just meet with each other as individuals. I'd love to have you there. I know that we have an appropriations hearings, and I understand the very grave importance that we have. But if you have just 15 minutes to give to the Lord in the morning, please join us and then go on to appropriations. Thank you so much. From 7:15 to 8. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Benton for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind members of the Retirement Committee that we'll be meeting today at 2 o'clock in room 515 CLOB.
Chair recognizes the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, Chairman Cooper, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Health and Human Services Committee will meet this afternoon at 2 o'clock in room 606. And I would also like to encourage my members to be sure and attend the meeting tomorrow morning on children at 8:30, and I believe that's in 341. Thank you very much. See you this afternoon.
That completes our announcements. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, February the 6th, 2019.
The Majority Leader has moved that this House be adjourned until Wednesday, February 6, 2019 at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it, and this House will be adjourned until Wednesday at 10 a.m.